Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle. This is Michelle Reads YA, and today I will be giving you my June wrap-up. For June, I read 15 books, and I did not DNF a single book. I don't think this has happened to me ever in a month, so I am very happy with myself. There were a few rereads, a lot of nonfiction, so let's just get into it. The first book that I read for June was Percy Jackson and the Olympians #2, The Sea of Monsters. I loved this one. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I gave the first Percy Jackson book 3 stars, and I think it's because I watched the movie before reading the book, so it wasn't my favorite. But this one, I did not watch the movie. I heard it's even worse than the first one, so I haven't watched it, and I just thought it was so good. I love the adventure they went on this time. I liked Percy, and I love Annabeth, and I loved all the new characters, and this so far is my favorite one of the series. So 4 stars for Percy Jackson. Loved it a lot. Definitely was better than the first one, in my opinion. The next book that I read was So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijiyama Olo. I listened to this on audiobook. It was super short. It was to the point. It was amazing. I'm really glad that I started with this one. I started with this one because I couldn't get my hands on any of the other books, White Rage and White Fragility. So I started with this one, and it was so good. She talks about the history of racism from slavery to right now with cultural appropriation and police brutality, and I just thought it was so good. It was such a fast read for me. I ended up giving this 5 stars just because I was so engaged the whole time. I recommend this if you're looking for more resources for Black Lives Matter, and it was amazing. 5 stars. The next book that I read was When They Call You a Terrorist, a Black Lives Matter memoir by Patrice Concolors. I also listened to this one. It was narrated by the author, which was really cool. I actually liked the second part of this book a lot better than the first part. I thought the first part dragged a little. It was her history with police, and then it went into Tamir Rice and why she started the Black Lives Matter movement. First of all, I did not know the Black Lives Matter movement was started by a woman, a Black woman, so I thought that was amazing. This book I read at a very interesting time. It was when the protests were happening for George Floyd, and President Trump went on TV and called the protesters terrorists, and this book is literally called When They Call You a Terrorist. And so the juxtaposition of reading this and listening to our stupid president do that was crazy. I ended up giving this 5 stars. It was amazing. If you're looking for resources, I definitely suggest this book. So now we're getting into 5 books that I read for a video, so I'm gonna go through them really fast and just link the video. I never do the right side. One of these sides. And just tell you the star rating, and you can watch the video if you want. But the first book that I read was Wicked Games by Sean Olin. I gave this 2 stars. The next book was Top 10 by Katie Cotugno. I gave this 1 star. The next book was Virtually Yours by Saravanas Tash. I gave this 1 star. Fireworks by Katie Cotugno. I gave this 1 star. And the last book is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. I gave that 2.5 stars. That is for my reading the lowest rated books that I own video. It did not go well for me, but there's a video for it. So if you want to watch that, yeah, I linked it. The next audiobook that I listened to was Stamped from the Beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America by Ibram X. Kendi. I listened to the adult version. It was on Hoopla. It was so long. It was a lot for me. It read a lot like a textbook, which I didn't love. I liked the idea of it going through 5 narrators in history. It started in the 1800s and went to now, and I thought that was really interesting. But for me, listening to it, it was really slow. So I gave it 4 stars. I think what I'm going to end up doing is reading the young adult version, which I have right over here, of Stamped with Jason Reynolds. So I'm definitely gonna do that so I can get a better grasp on what Ibram X. Kendi was saying, because I think it's very important. But for me personally, it was a lot for me. So I'm going to try again with the young adult version, and that's okay. I think it'll be better for me. The next two books that I read were for the Blackout Buddy Read, and I read White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo, and then White Rage by Carol Anderson. I read White Rage first. It was amazing. It was so good. She goes through, like, kind of like Ibram X. Kendi did, the whole history of racism in America, and I didn't know anything that she had written about in this book, which is really sad. I never learned any of this shit, and I should have. Especially in the later chapters, she talks about voter suppression, and she literally talks about the county that I'm living in 2016. So that was a huge slap to the face. I had no idea about voter suppression in my own county in 2016, literally 4 years ago. So this was amazing. I gave this 5 stars. I recommend this to literally everyone. Please read this. The next book that I read was White Fragility for the Blackout Buddy Read. I got it. This was good. I have a personal issue of a white woman talking about race, and that's just me. I know it's a white woman talking about race for white people, but I think overall, White Rage did the same thing, but better. So this one was fine. I gave it 4 stars. I skimmed the last. I just think the overall message was better in White Rage. So I think you should support White Rage instead of White Fragility, because it is written by a black woman. Okay. The next book that I read, it was a reread, and that's Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I listened to this for the first time on audiobook, and it was 2 narrators, which was really cool. The first one was Rebecca Soler, who does all of Marissa Meyer's audiobooks, and it was really good. She was good. The book is fine. This was a reread. I gave it 3 stars. Again, I gave it 3 stars the first time I read it. I'm rereading it so I can get through the series because I own all the books, but I'm not getting through them, so I'm listening to them, and I needed to reread Renegades, so 3 stars. This is about superheroes and villains, and it's not my favorite. I'm hoping that Arch Enemies is better. Okay. The next book that I read is I'm Not Dying With You Tonight by Kimberly Jones and Gilly Siegel. I gave this 3 stars. I don't know what I was expecting going into this, but I thought the beginning was a little messy and the ending was super messy, but the middle was very good. So basically what happens in this book is white girl Campbell is new to this neighborhood, and she gets in, like, there's a fight at the high school, and she gets caught up with Lena. They get stuck together, and Lena is black and Campbell is white, and they are just trying to survive this night. It starts with a fight at the high school, and then they are they're trying to get home, and there is a protest on, like, 7th Street or 7th Avenue, and it starts to turn into a riot, and they're both just trying to get home and survive the night. I thought it was a really good concept. Like I said, the beginning I didn't love, and then it was so fast-paced in the middle and I couldn't put it down, and then the ending was just okay for me. I would have liked, I understand the concept of it just being like a one-night thing, but I would have liked to see how, like, the next day, how things progressed, if they still talk to each other and stuff like that. I thought that would have been an interesting concept, so I ended up giving this 3 stars. I thought the writing was amazing. The next book that I listened to was Educated by Tara Westover. This is a memoir, and I gave it 3 stars, and in my Goodreads review, I say how I feel weird giving someone's memoir 3 stars, but I'm giving it 3 stars. So I really liked it in the beginning. Basically, she grows up like really secluded with her family, and they're Mormon, and she's not educated at all in her childhood, but ends up going to BYU and then Cambridge and then Harvard. And my biggest gripe with this is, where the fuck did she get all this money? I understand scholarships and grants, but like, she flies back and forth from Cambridge to Idaho so many times, and I'm just wondering where she gets all this money. Also, there's several instances where like men just give her large amounts of money, and I don't know. I didn't love this. A lot of the memories are from her childhood, and she's even like, I don't know if this is a correct memory. And so for me, I don't know. It was 3 stars. It was an interesting read, that's for sure, but I don't know if any of the things she is saying is credible, and the money thing is just really off-putting. Where'd she get all this money? It is not explained, but like, I'd really like to know that. So 3 stars for this memoir. Okay. And the last book that I listened to was Percy Jackson and the Olympians #3, The Titan's Curse. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. So far, this is my least favorite in the series, and I was reading people's Goodreads reviews on this one, and people really like this one, and I did not. I think it started super slow, and then it's basically the same pattern in every book. There is a quest, and Percy's like, OMG, I have to go on this quest, and then he goes on the quest, and that's it. So I'm not trying to knock the Percy Jackson series, but it's the same formula in all 3 books so far, and that's a little boring. And this one just started off really slow, and there was no Annabeth. So for me, this one wasn't great. I'm still continuing on with the series. I already have the audiobook for the next one. So, I mean, I'm gonna finish the series, but this one was a pretty big disappointment for me. 3 stars. I didn't love this one. That's it. I read 15 books this month. I didn't DNF anything. I read a lot of nonfiction. I highly suggest all of the books, nonfiction books that I read. Definitely White Rage over White Fragility. That's just me. Okay, thanks for watching my video. See you in my next one. Bye!